Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are taking a fully spoilery look at Kaiju number 8, chapter 69. History, science, art, humanity. These are Matsumoto's 4 horsemen of awesomeness. Seriously, folks, I really think I finally distilled what sets Kaiju number 8 above other shonen battle manga. Most obviously, it's the art. The lines are clear and cut, the motion is so fluid that the slightest stiffness is a red flag that indicates a plot point. For example, the stiffness of Director General Shinamaya's movements in his first appearances bring the first death flag, and our first hint that those suits take a toll on an officer's body. The art is amazing and tells so much of the story, and from previous chapters we know that Matsumoto isn't just limited to this one manga style art. We saw the classic style from the image of the 1657 Kaiju. Which brings me to the second horseman of awesomeness, history. I have gotten so used to this particular element of Matsumoto's writing that every time there's a reference to something, I have to go Google it. The 1657 Kaiju, that was the very real-life Great Kanto Fire of 1657, the man-made island defense batteries of 1863 that most likely gave the series its name. So much of the depth of this series comes from Matsumoto linking critical elements back to real events that tie seamlessly with the current events in the series. It gives a powerful depth to the story that makes the world seem nearly as real as our own. And of course, I have done several videos on the science of the series. The fungal powers of Kaiju number 9 that are frighteningly real to life. Yes, fungus can take over antibodies and send them up to the surface to do its dirty work. Seeing a massive hole in the ground after one of Kaiju number 8's punches lets you know that backlash exists physically. Even the need for Mina's Tiger Bako is due to the powerful backlash of the weapons. And humanity. It isn't just that Matsumoto writes his characters logically and consistently. He manages to strike that balance that is nowhere near Narm, nor even touching Saccharine. The members of the Defense Force are loyal nakama in the best shonen sense, without being the least bit cheesy. In the words of Canada's own Lucy Maud Montgomery, a pine wood is as real as a pigsty. Matsumoto has created for us a delightful pine wood of human relationships in this story. Everyone feels real, with very human weaknesses, follies, and foibles. They can't help being afraid of Kaiju number 8, but Kafka is still their fellow soldier, and any one of the 3rd Division would still take a bullet for him. It's just so wonderfully wholesome, and I adore this level of wholesomeness. This is a very serious series that deals with issues that could be presented in a very dark way, but they're not. But you came to this video for a fully spoilerly discussion of what will happen in this chapter, not to just listen to me waxing on about generalities. So consider yourself warned. I'm going to get into all the spoilers now. So if you don't want to hear what happened in chapter 69, you can check out the links below the video to get yourself a copy of Humans Are Weird. I have the data on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold. Monty Python meets the classic Star Trek in this book of human absurdity. Now, normally, this is my least favorite chapter of every battle arc. In lesser manga, I would skim this, tuck it into my vast store of final big battle preparation chapters, and wait for something interesting to happen. Not so with the work of Matsumoto. I burned through every page, and 33 pages felt far too short once again. First, the chapter starts by taking us right back to chapter 2 and the first life that Kafka saved as Kaiju number 8. Do you recall that terrified little girl who bravely fought through her fear and remembered what her mother had taught her? The nice Kaiju man had saved her mother, and through her tears and trembling she thanks him. This fills our hero with a sense of determination and responsibility that he had thought long lost. Now, I have never quite forgotten this small child, and this chapter shows that we weren't meant to. I have been speculating for nearly 2 years now when we would get to see her again and how that would play out in the story. So I was thrilled when she shows up and proves that the fear had worn off and left only the courage in its place. And this is another repeating thread. In a previous chapter, when we caught a glimpse of Kafka's old Kaiju cleanup crew, we saw how Kafka himself inspired confidence in his former co-workers when the new crew lead declared that if they left Japan, who would be left to clean up after Kafka and the rest of the Defense Force? And that wasn't even because they had no idea that he had those powers. He was just Kafka to them, the chubby, tubby old man who took care of them out in the field. Now, we see that same thing flitting over a different instrument in the little girl declaring her confidence that Mr. Kaiju Man will take care of that mean old Kaiju number 9. Kafka is, after all, a classic shonen protagonist at his Kaiju-infused heart. His very presence, his spirit and his courage lifts up and supports everyone around him, often without him even noticing it, and it is so well done in this story. Now, I am always seeing the themes that C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien talked about showing up, so it's no surprise that here I find a major one of them. Compassion is the driving element of the plot in this world. Kafka, nothing so very special about him other than his consistent and courageous compassion. He forms his goal re-inspiring friendship with Reno because even though Reno was seriously a jerk to him, Kafka shows the new guy practical compassion and generosity. Kafka shows not just courage when he saves the little girl, not just compassion either, but mindful compassion. The kind of compassion that puts the needs and feelings of others, in this case, the very rational fear the little girl had of the giant kaiju standing in front of her, before even Kafka's own comfort. As much as courage, loyalty, and friendship are driving this, manga, even more so, it is pure compassion. The love of our fellow humans, not because of what they did or even who they are, but just because they are our fellow humans. This was a beautiful scene and warmed the heart before the story moves on to the Defense Force training their joint units. And like I said, this is usually where I tap out at this point in the manga. The full extent of Iso Shinamaya's last-holding action is now clear. He's given the Defense Force 5 long months to train and prepare. He gifted his fighting style to Kafka via Vice Captain Hoshina. He gifted his drive and determination to his daughter, and he gifted his daughter to the nation. He shaped and formed Captain Narumi. One even speculates that the appearances of those few kaiju that were seen in the 17 mysterious incidents might have been Iso's work as well. Now that we know of the time delay, why would number 9 reveal several of his strongest tools so long before using them? Why give the Defense Force so long to prepare? Their obvious appearances seem more like warnings from the general. Kikoru and Narumi have been using the past 3 months to train with the number 4 and number 1 weapons respectively, and even their mock combat is making the entire base tremble. We even get a look at our favorite screamy science guy again, and we can see that he has aged. His face is grim, and his spirit seems far quieter than we last saw him. Despite his obvious fear we saw, that man has iron courage under his screams. He stood by the Director General to the end and enabled Iso to fight but long past his limits. Now, our beloved screamy science guy is being forced to stand by and watch helplessly as someone else, some other tech, aids the 2 people that his Director General loved best, Kikoru Shinamiya and Jin Narumi. Both of them will obviously need a controller for their suits, just like Iso did, and that controller is not the experienced and proven screamy science guy. Why? I really have to wonder why. Does each numbered weapon require special and specific training for the controller as much as it does for the wielder? Does number 2 controller have little to no ability to control a number 4 weapon? Or is Screamy Science Guy in disgrace? Do neither Narumi or Kikoru want the controller who failed their father? I cannot wait to dig more into that relationship dynamic. Now, this is merely the first half of my chapter overview, but there are size limits to videos on platforms like BitChute, Rumble, Veoh, and Odysee, where I also upload, so I will end part 1 here. Leave a like and comment below telling me if you think Screamy Science Guy is in disgrace. Hit that subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers. Humans are weird. We took a vote, and humans are weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.